A new style of natural history show. Stuart Wildman Mabbutt.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Going Wild to Wildlife with me, Stuart the Wildman Mabbutt. This is the first one I've done in the studio for many, many months, and I dedicate this show to any listener who's never had a show dedicated to them in the past, and we mustn't forget you guys. And it's the first time we've breaking new ground again. We're filming this episode, so you'll be able to watch this on YouTube. That's a new adventure for us. And I've got two guests in the studio. Wave to the cameras.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
We got William, who you guys know already. He's been on this show before, but you're a photographer. Tell us quickly about yourself.
I've been a photographer, well, a professional photographer for 3 years, but I've been photographing for upwards of 30 years. When I got my first camera when I was 7 years old, and ever since then I've just loved the whole medium of photography and have developed my business around that, basically.
And Tina Wells,
Hi.
first time you've been on this show. Tell us
is.
about yourself.
Well, I have a background at beginning in biology, actually, as an ecologist. That's way back now, but I'm hoping to revisit that, possibly, with Stuart and William. And my interest there was with butterflies, helping people get more into nature, record what they were seeing in their gardens, and link with the natural history guys in Bristol, this was, who were giving me rare records to send up to the Environmental Records Centre. So that's my sort of biology area. And then more recently, I loved things like yoga. At that time, it was part of my world too. But now I've applied that and qualified to teach a very simple form of a moving meditation called Tai Chi Cha. And it's great. It's something that people can use as a self-help skill to calm the busy mind, connect with the ground, and connect with each other.
You've got some props here. You've got some soothers.
Just in case
I won't say the company because there's many other soothers out there. You've got a Tai Chi chair, a DVD, and you've got some socks.
I have socks, yes.
Now, what we're going to do, I think, we're going to do a short Tai Chi session during this recording about... how should we put it? Especially connecting with nature through. But what we're going to do, as for the YouTubers, we're going to do that towards the end of the film.
Right.
So that's a bonus piece for the YouTubers.
Bonus footage could even be a separate film.
Could be a separate film.
Yeah.
But the radio listeners, just go onto YouTube and have a listen.
Yeah.
But I can
Look.
I can only imagine.
It's good. I mean, the idea is, as you wear these socks, your attention goes to where it needs to be, which is the ground. So this practice basically focuses the mind on the soles of the feet, and the lower body leads the movement. So these socks, a little bit of humour, not too serious, are helpful to
We
take
got a
the
pair
mind.
each.
I'm planning on doing something along those lines.
Oh, right.
Yeah, not today.
God help us. Right, okay. Now, people may know, well, you do know if you listen to this show, that I've been, for a number of years, been suffering with rheumatoid arthritis. And I use a type of pain management that I've sort of developed myself, engaging with nature through my senses to manage my own pain. And William and Tina and myself and a number of other collaborators are going to be doing workshops on that. But what I want to also explore within Oxford University, I want to try and set up a research program about what I'm actually doing to manage my pain, and also monitor attendees of workshops and what is physically and mentally going on in the body when we're doing this. We know nature's good for us, but we don't quite understand how it works. Do we need to? I was doing an interview on an Irish radio station yesterday, and the interviewer said, do we really need to know how and why it works? But it'd be interesting. Anyway, there is a recognised theory called nature deficit disorder. It's not a recognised illness, but it's a recognised theory. Tina, with nature deficit disorder, shall we say, when nature is missing out of your life, how does that feel? What impact does that have when there's no nature in your life?
Well, I think I'd feel quite lost and barren without it, because in fact I think the senses are heightened when you're out in nature, when you're walking. We all go on holidays to find release of tension. And so, we choose, don't we, to go to the sea or the mountains or the woods, wherever it makes you comfortable. And why do we do that? We slow down and we get in touch with nature. We let go of the busy mind, the busy life we usually immerse ourselves in. And I think that without that, we'd feel something was hugely missing in our lives, that the richness of what the world can offer us in nature is so important for our well-being.
William, Tina said something missing from our lives. Do you notice anything missing out of my life at the moment?
There is something missing off of your head, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. If you're watching on YouTube, I've not got my hat on. The listeners will miss out on that. But it's spinning on the record player behind me as we speak.
Is it?
So,
Indeed it is.
it's still alive. Anyway, emotionally, William, when you're lacking nature in your life, how does that affect your emotions, do you think?
I actually find that a difficult question to answer, because I don't think I've really ever had a moment in my life when I've actually properly lacked nature. I suppose the only time I've really done that is when I've been in an office environment. So it just feel kind of shut off, and it can feel quite oppressive and depressing.
What do you feel shut off from? Yourself or the environment?
Well, just fresh air. Just as a basic starting point, it's the fresh air. When I used to work in an office, and my release was to go out at lunchtime and with my camera and take as many photos as I possibly could do. But it was an excuse to get outside and get some fresh air and get some fresh oxygen in my lungs. I think that's probably the most basic need I need for nature, for going out in nature.
Okay, then. So let's expand on that. That's what's missing. But when you are out in nature, what do you think is physically happening in your body when you're outing it?
I just think it's both. It starts off as a physical emotion or physical feeling. So I go for a walk pretty much every morning. So the first thing I want to do is wake up, and that's what it really does to me. And then it wakes up my body, and then it wakes up my mind, because I hear everything around me, the bird call, that sort of thing, and it just awakens something inside me, awakens something that's quite intangible in some ways.
Do you think you can overdose on nature?
No, I don't think you can. Not at all, no. Unless it rains too much and you get wet. That would be an overdose in some ways. But no, I don't think you can. You can certainly overdose on a lack of it, if that makes sense. So you need to be out there. You need to be out there really enjoying what there is.
So Tina, physically, what do you think is going on in the body?
So
it could be mentally as well, in the mind.
Yeah, for me personally, I think this links through to energy. That the energy that's basically it's a link, isn't it? We're energized when we walk. We've got a connection with the aliveness of nature, and the aliveness that's in us is inseparable from that, actually. So this is what I believe will happen if you don't have it. Your own energy would be very sapped. So this link through our senses with awareness of nature is actually coming back to our innate understanding that what's out there, what we're sort of experiencing with our senses is fundamentally energy. I believe this is what it's about, personally, when you come down to the very fundamentals of life.
Okay, so you got the well-being factor in Mother Nature. Do you think that's about we feel better because in some way it reduces the acidity levels in the body? Do you think it's down to acidity, the well-being?
I don't know about. I've never looked at the measurements of what's going on there, but
that's why I want to take it to Oxford University and do a study.
Yeah,
to find
absolutely. I think it's really key, that understanding of what's going on is really good to know, because I personally think it will bring us back to this sort of, well, it's to do with balance, isn't it? As an ecologist, balance is key, and that we're dependent on the environment in the same way. We can't become an isolated thing and exist without the air around us to breathe and the water there to survive, in our bodies. So, that coexistence is fundamental. And so, yeah, I think that's really important, that link.
But it could be hormonal as well.
We have those. We sort of know that, don't we? I mean, what the relaxation effect in the body with lowering hormonal, the tension, the stress hormones that occur. We sort of know that, but the scientists like to, and I'm a scientist too, we do like to have the fundamental evidence for what's going on. So it's great that you're going to investigate that.
Hope so.
Yeah.
I'm just the wild man, I'm just trying to convince the university to take it seriously. But something I have my own little theory, William, and we've sort of explored this in our workshops. Mm-hmm. I think it's very subliminal and we may not be conscious, but I'm pretty convinced there's multiple things going on that makes nature improve our well-being. And one of them, and I think we overlook this, is our breathing. Mm-hmm. Because I'm convinced when you go out into nature, your breathing patterns slow down, change, you take deeper breaths. So it could also be a lot to do with more oxygen in the body, in the bloodstream.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, like I said, every morning go for a walk, and I get that blood, or get the oxygen circulating in my body. And I always have a glass of water before I go out as well. So if you're talking about pH balance, for example, and especially in your stomach, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to say that I know what I'm talking about here, but
I don't. But I'm still talking about it.
There's a definite feeling of balance at that time of the morning.
So when you're doing your photography, I know you do photography first thing in the morning.
Can do, yeah.
Do you, maybe you might go and look at this now, but are you aware that your breathing changes when you're actually actively taking photographs?
I do actively control my breathing if I'm doing any sort of handheld shot, especially if I have to use a slower shutter speed, because when I'm controlling my breathing, my hands don't shake as much. There's a slower rhythm in my body, so I can actually control the shot a bit better. So yeah, I do actively control my own breathing in that sense. But I do like going out first thing in the morning. As you know, Stuart, I'm a railway fan, so I will be out by the railway line at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning during the summer.
William hung his anorak up outside. It wouldn't let him in the studio with it. So anyway, we both have anoraks because we're both into railways. So,
and me butterflies. So.
Yeah, exactly. But William, are you, looking back on your life, do you feel you've been guilty of overlooking nature at any time, taking it for granted?
I think I have, yeah. And I think that's quite an easy thing to do in some ways. I think maybe I've taken it for granted because it has always been there. I mean, where we're sat here, I lived not a mere stone's throw away from this radio station. And the Lyve Valley Nature Reserve, which is on my doorstep, and also Shotover was also pretty much on my doorstep. So I might have been guilty of overlooking it because I had so much of it. Now you go back to the initial question of maybe having too much. Maybe that's the part of it. That's where you have too much that you actually then start overlooking it. I mean, it's the same. I've said in an interview recently about that it's an entirely different thing. But do Romans overlook the Colosseum, or do Parisians overlook the Eiffel Tower because they see it every day? So yeah, that's
familiarity.
Familiarity breeds familiarity, as they say.
William mentioned this radio station. Well, we're recording today in Radio Charwell Studios, and if you're on YouTube, you can see the details of how to contact the station. But this goes out onto many different radio stations. But thank you to Radio Charwell for allowing us to use. I'm destroying the studio now. Use the facilities. But Tina, do you think you've been guilty of overlooking and taking Mother Nature for granted over the years?
Interestingly, from my experience of depression, in fact, the fact that I have been ill at different times makes me more aware of when I'm well. And actually, I probably would say I haven't taken it for granted, because luckily, one of the very few things that's good about having an experience that shuts you down away from nature is when you're well, you appreciate everything actually. And I suspect you have similar thing with the pain aspect. If you have some relief from that, you really appreciate that. So in that sort of illness, you tend to not be able to appreciate and connect actually with nature. So it's a lovely thing when you're well and you find the joy in what you're seeing. Something about it brings it back to you. So I would say I actually don't think I've taken it for granted in my case.
Well done then. I think if you were asking me, and nobody is, but I'll ask myself, I think I'm guilty of overlooking her on a daily basis actually, even though I use it to manage my pain. I think there are moments in the day where I do take Mother Nature for granted, but that's just my own view.
Yeah.
I think Tina deserves a gold star.
Well, actually, then, the moments, when you are right into doing mode and you're absolutely, whatever you're doing, you rush into something or other, we don't stop and notice, do we, at that point? So, you're quite right. I can't say I'm perfect in that way. I suppose I just mean overall appreciation awareness is there. And it makes me sort of like notice the amazing things now and again, but it is a now and again. You're quite right.
Okay, before you came on, Tina, I asked you to give me 10 interesting things about yourself.
Indeed.
But I want to explore two more areas.
It's interesting.
The most treasured memories that you both have in nature. But the one that stands out on this page, Tina, is you were in Australia.
That's it.
And you were enamoured by the Kookaburra dawn chorus.
Sure.
And you were wandering around for 2 hours in your dressing gown.
Indeed.
And you came back to the hotel and everybody thought you were a bit odd or something. Tell me about that. What happened?
Well, it was that amazing dawn chorus. When we talk about familiarity, when you are with something all the time, it wouldn't wake you up. But my goodness, it's a shame you haven't got the sound of the Kookaburra right now to play over, because it's incredible. It's like, to me, I remember it as a monkey raising its, going up a scale, and I was wide awake 4 or whatever in the morning. What is that? So we were luckily went onto this sort of resort area with low cabins, very nice setting, and there was a creek not far away, and there's a lot of bird song going on. So even more, it was heightened. Anyway, I had my little video camera. I thought, I've got to try and capture this. So I didn't understand what it meant, sound recording, what that would entail. Off I go. And it's about 5 a.m. or something, maybe a little bit earlier. And I thought, well, I'm going to be back in half an hour. I'm just going to capture the sound and I'll be back. So I basically set off, didn't bother changing with the camera. And they were, of course, so elusive. Round the next corner, I'll be able to capture it, maybe even a film bit. No such luck. So back I went without anything to bring back, but of course I remember the experience. And I'm walking through the area with the cabins and people drying their hair and all the rest of it. And here is a woman with a camera in her dressing gown. I, as quickly as I could, hot-footed it back to that cabin. But it was memorable, and I'll never forget the sound, even though I didn't capture the, didn't actually bring it home with me.
It's a great story. You paint that picture really well. Yeah, you can almost be there, can't you? I've never heard a Kookaburra sing myself. So.
I have to apologise to the listeners. I'm on heavy dosage steroids at the moment, so it leaves my brain slightly empty. But I'm pretty sure the Kookaburra is related to the English kingfisher.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
It is? All right. So, there's something rattling around in this head of mine.
But then it could be, I could be wrong, so...
You could be on steroids as well. Okay, William, your most memorable, just quickly, your most memorable wildlife memory?
I've had quite a few. I suppose my real most memorable wildlife memory was I was in Illinois. I was in my friend's a friend's farm, and sat out on the back porch, and I heard a very, very loud buzzing sound, and I couldn't work out what it was. It sounded like a bee, but it sounded too low, too much of a hum, and that should have kind of give it away. And it was actually a wild hummingbird floating at the bottom of the garden, and we got the pair of binoculars out, and I was totally mesmerised.
How big is it?
It was small. It was tiny, the size of a mobile phone. Small, and it was bright blue as well. That's all I can remember. And you couldn't see its wings.
So fast.
It was moving so fast you couldn't see its wings. It was just literally, it looked like a bird without wings because the wings were moving so fast. But I was mesmerised because seeing something that tropical as a wild bird was a very memorable moment. There are other moments, but that's the one that really sticks in my mind.
Okay, we've got about 2-3 minutes left of chatter here, and we've said at the top of the show, the three of us were going to be exploring doing some workshops this year. Now, William, you're a photographer, Tina, you do Tai Chi, and I'm the wild man, I do everything I do. What do you think attendees will expect to experience and do at our workshops? Because we only just started to talk about this, actually.
We have.
So, Tina.
Okay. Well, I think what I'm hoping to bring to it is that, if you can focus your mind on the ground as you're walking and really come to the present moment, to be where you are right there, rather than your mind being somewhere else instead. I think that was a Winnie the Pooh. I'm not sure Winnie the Pooh quote. Not in the past, reworking why you should have done something or not, and the future, which may or may not. Oh gosh, this might happen. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. So if you can really come to where you are in that moment. Feel the ground, and then I think the awareness of your senses, which you will both bring in, will be heightened. People will get a different experience, and hopefully stronger memories of what they saw, because they're experiencing it real time. They're right with it. They're not somewhere else. That's what I hope.
William, you and I are doing lots of work together out in nature, but this particular collaboration, what do you think will happen?
Well, Tina's talking very much about being in the moment. Photography is very much being in the past. If you think about it, you're capturing a moment, but then you'll be able to review that moment later on. So that's the sort of angle I'm going to be coming from, using my own expertise as a photographer to also be able to just capture whatever you see, maybe capture the things you don't normally see or don't normally look for, maybe different colours and that sort of thing. So I'm intrigued by what will happen with the butterflies, for example, and how they will behave when people are around them. So
you're going to be doing something as well with deaf photography.
Deaf photography, yeah. Well, that's going to be that's quite a new thing for what we've done, Stuart, isn't it? Where we're going to basically deprive somebody of their hearing to see what they will capture as a photographer, just as an experiment. I've done blindfolded walking before. Well, we've done blindfolded walking before, and that's quite obvious when you have your sight taken away from you that your hearing becomes more heightened. So if you're more hearing deprived, what happens when it comes to capturing an image with a camera?
Yeah, interesting. My mind is open. As I say, there's not a lot in there. So, we're going to on this film on YouTube, we're going to do a Tai Chi session after the show. But what's the address people can find our channel on, William? Do you know? I can't remember. I know.
It's called Wild Man and Shot at an Angle. That's the actual. That's the name of the YouTube channel.
Okay, so have a look on there. But Tina, you mentioned you like Enya.
Oh, I love Enya.
And I've brought up, this is testing my skills now. I've brought up a list of Enya tracks, and I'm just going to throw some at you. You pick one. We will play out of the show with it. We can't include it on YouTube because we haven't got the copyright rules, so we'll fade out and we will pop back with the Tai Chi session. But I'll call out some Enya tracks and you tell me which one you want. On My Way Home, Orinoco Flow, Silent Night, Storms in Africa,
Let's do Orinoco flow, shall we?
Orinoco flow. Okay.
Yeah.
Challenge me, challenge me, challenge me.
I think that's the one I know.
Okay, now let's see if this works. I would like to thank you for coming on, William and Tina.
Thanks for having us, Stuart.
Yeah, great.
And we will leave you guys now with Enya Orinoco Flow, and I will see you again soon. So until next time, goodbye. Okay, that was Enya there, which you YouTubers missed out on. But we are going to, just for you, we're going to do a Tai Chi session with Tina, and we're going to find out more about these socks.
Yeah.
And, so away you go. What are we going to do?
Okay, so I'm going to hopefully show you what this connection with the ground is about, so that when we do some work with walks, you sort of have the idea of what we're aiming to. So anyway, I've got these funny socks, which we did show you on the radio. You heard about on the radio, and you saw a little bit there with the filming. So the idea is that, it's good to not be too serious about things, have a little bit of lightheartedness about it. I wear these when I do this Tai Chi Cha, which is the moving meditation I'm going to introduce to you. And this helps me focus my mind where it needs to be, which is when we stand and do this, we have these on our feet so that our minds focus on the ground. So this helps me. So now I can take them off just to give you a feel of what we're going to do. Right, so now, interestingly, I've done a lot of yoga, but the difference with this form of moving meditation is that it's continuous, it's circular, it's soft, and the awareness is that the lower body is the thing that directs the movement. So mostly in the West and in our culture, we are using our hands like this, like I'm doing now, we're talking. We're all up here, we're in the upper body, and it's very helpful now and again to let go of that. And this comes down to let going of tension in the body. We hold a lot in our shoulders, stomach's tight, whatever. If we learn to find the release of that down to the ground, and that the very helpful thing is that if you use your lower body to direct the motion, you will achieve this sense of relaxation, de-stressing, come to the present moment because your focus is down there on the ground and your mind isn't somewhere else instead. The Dantian, I'll just mention, there's an energy center just below the navel internally. This is a very strong, powerful energy center which a lot of the martial arts use to build strength internally. In Tai Chi Cha, which is the simple form of Tai Chi I'm teaching, it's only 19 moves and one pose, so very simple to learn and very accessible. But there's no combat. There's no. It's about you connecting with the peace inside you, and we talk about the connection with the ground a lot, and the sort of strength that you can get from the earth. So there's energy all around us. There's energy right down there, connecting yourself, circulating and balancing your energy. So I'm going to show you some now. We'll do less of the chat and we'll get down into the lower body. So the idea is, I don't know if you can come closer, Stuart. If that's
Okay, let me just move the microphone.
Okay. So
okay, away we
this
go.
is hopefully an interesting experience. The idea is for we're not used to this, but let's take our minds to the soles of the feet. Feel the ground, really connect with the feeling of the soles of the feet. And then be aware of where you're sitting on the chair. So again, feel the connection with the seat and where your thighs are sitting. Direct the mind, you guide the mind gently. There's no this forcing, trying too hard. It's all the effort of no effort. So bring your mind to that awareness, okay? So now we're sitting where we're sitting. We're feeling the ground. Right, so the movement in the upper body is going to be directed by rocking. Now, rocking is very soothing. We rock babies. We have an innate calming effect when we rock. So I'm going to get you now to do a little bit of rocking on the sitting bones. So you're going to take the tension from your shoulders, roll the shoulders a few times. Just get rid of that tension. Feel the ground. Roll the shoulders forward. Okay, so here we go. We're getting a little bit more into the present moment, right where you are. Take a breath. On the out breath, allow your attention to sink to the ground again. So let's in breath and out breath. Right, as you take your mind to the soles of the feet, your energy follows it. So the tension is allowed to go. Just do that once more. Right, now then, the rocking motion, let's just revisit that. So rock your body forward on the sitting bones, rock the body back. Now you're upright but not stiff. So you've got a feeling of a softness in the upper body. So I'm just going to show you one of the movements. This is called round the platter. So if we just come to stillness again, awareness of the ground, awareness of the seat. You imagine you've got a plate in front of you, and your hands, if you put your hands on the edge of, imagine you're on the edge of the plate here, the fingers are soft and separate, and the middle fingers are going to describe the shape of the plate. If you put your left foot forward slightly ahead of your right on the floor, now as you tip your body forward, rock your body forward, the hands will go out towards the left side. So they go out round the circle that way first. And then as you tip your body back, the hands are brought back round. So this is the action. The wrists are really soft and flexible, allows the fingers to turn one direction, coming back again. And we'll just carry on, and I'll shut up so that we get in time with the movement of the lower body, and we get in time with each other. So now if you just do one more circle going round to that left side, and then bring your hands back to the lap and back to stillness. If you've lost focus, take your mind gently back to the soles of the feet. Great. So one of the lovely things about Tai Chi Cha is that when we do something in motion and we do something together, you connect. You have the energy builds, you have a connection with each other. That's extremely bonding and feeling of togetherness. So we'll do the same thing now going down to the right side. The right foot is slightly in front of the left, and the hands come back up to the platter again. So we'll move now. Rock your body forward, round to the right side. Rock your body back to bring the arms back. Key is the lower body is the director of the motion. I'm just going to get you to do one more now, going round to the right, coming back to rest. So that's just one of the 19 movements, and Justin Stone, who originated this form of Tai Chi, was a Tai Chi Chuan master, wanted to make something very simple, accessible, but capture the essence from a health point of view. And one of the things that does come, and he said that this would, hopefully people would find this, is that you, by letting go of tension in the upper body, connecting with the ground and the awareness of the present moment, you have a sense of relief. And in that relief comes joy. That replaces the stress that we hold. The other lovely thing is you find serenity in the midst of activity. So you strengthen this core, and the whatever comes at you, just like a strong tree with its strong roots, you're flexible at the top, but you don't hold any of this oncoming noise. You connect with the ground, you find your centre, and you have this serenity in the midst of activity. So I'm leaving you there.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take this out into nature. So it'll be a nice merging of what William and I do, and bringing Tina in as well. So
Lovely.
let's wave goodbye to our fans.
Oh, we're up there. Bye-bye, guys.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong camera.
We've got 2 cameras going on.
Oh, we
at
have
once, so
indeed.
we can wave
And
both.
that creaking was my chair and not my bones.
Lovely, lovely.
We will leave you there, and we will be back with a new YouTube film very soon. So see ya.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Going wild with wildlife. Connect with nature. Stuart Wildman Mabbutt.